With the recent release of the 2019 Topps Heritage baseball card set, I thought it'd be worth taking a closer look at its inspiration, the 1970 Topps set. One of the first things you hear about the set is that people either love it or hate it. Actually, I think people mostly hate it. The main complaint is that it's bland. I think what hurts it is that the sets both before and after it were so well designed. While I wouldn't go so far as to call 1970 one of Topps' most iconic designs, I do appreciate the clean aesthetic of the cards. I also find that the back of the cards are much easier to read compared to the 1971 and 72 designs. There are a few unique things about the 1970 set. It was the last Topps set to have no action photography of the player cards, only portraits. It also contains an entire team set for a team that did not exist in 1970, the Seattle Pilots. You see, the team entered spring training as the Pilots, but the club went bankrupt on April 1st and was sold to Bud Selig only 6 days before the start of the season. The team then moved to Milwaukee and became the Brewers. By the time the club was sold, Topps had already begun releasing the first series of the 1970 set. Topps decided to keep the continuity of the Pilots cards in the set rather than make corrections in the 6th or 7th series, which came out later in the baseball season. As a result, you have a few interesting anomalies with the Pilots cards. One of the pitchers, Dave Baldwin, card 613, never pitched a regular season game as a Pilot. The picture from his card is from spring training 1970. Likewise with Dave Bristol's card, 556. He managed the Reds in 1969. This picture is also from spring training 1970. He never managed the Pilots in an official Major League game. Probably the saddest card in the set is Miguel Fuentes, card 88. He has the distinction of throwing the final pitch in Seattle Pilots history. But on January 29, 1970, Fuentes was murdered in the off-season in Puerto Rico. He was at a bar and went outside to relieve himself because of a problem with the bar's plumbing. Another patron thought he was urinating too close to his car and shot him 3 times. This was his only Topps card. Another interesting fact is that the 1970 set has no Hall of Fame rookie cards. Only one other Topps set between 1952 and 1980 has that distinction. Can you guess which one? Despite not having any action shots of players, I find the photography in the 1970 set compelling for what it tells us about the game of baseball in 1969 and 1970. Aside from spring training, the stadiums that show up most often in the background are Old Yankee Stadium, Shea Stadium, and Fenway Park. The Phillies team card also has a great shot of Old Connie Mack Stadium. Some of the spring training parks are interesting in their own right. When you leaf through a binder of the set, you can't help but notice the water towers in the background of some of the Oakland A's and Detroit Tigers players. Blue Moon Odom even has 2 water towers behind him. I believe this is the old Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida, where the Tigers still have spring training. I also get a kick out of the mountain backgrounds in many of the Seattle Pilots cards. These were shot at Tempe, Arizona's Diablo Stadium, where the Los Angeles Angels have spring training today. Then you have card number 670, Jim Fregosi, with a random pickup truck behind the backstop. Milt Pappas has a small tree behind him. These look more like high school fields than Major League ballparks. For some reason, Topps loved the bat rack in 1970. 9 of the cards had players posed with them. The Lowell Palmer card has become iconic. He wore these dark sunglasses in 1971 and 1972 as well. For the 2019 Heritage set, Topps recreated with the Pat Nesick card. Unfortunately, being 2019, Nesick's sunglasses were photoshopped in. In 1970, Topps had several subsets of cards: the league leaders, playoff and World Series highlights, and the All-Stars. One of the interesting facts about the All-Star cards is that the Sporting News selected the players. They were not necessarily the players that started the 1969 All-Star game. For example, the National League starting pitcher was Steve Carlton, and Cleon Jones started in left field. The American League starting pitcher was Mel Stottlemyre, and Sal Bando and Frank Howard also started. Another interesting fact is that in terms of collectability, many of the All-Star cards are worth more than the main player cards. This is because of centering issues. For example, in grades 8 or higher, the All-Star cards of Brooks Robinson, Pete Rose, Reggie Jackson, Carl Yastrzemski, Hank Aaron, and Johnny Bench all sell for more than their main player cards. In fact, of all those players, there is only one PSA graded 10 card between them. Let's talk about trying to collect the set today. There are 720 cards spread out over 7 series. Cards from the 6th series are referred to as semi-high numbers, and cards from the 7th series are the high numbers. Both are in shorter supply relative to the lower number cards and carry a premium. All of the cards are readily available for purchase online. There is nothing particularly rare, though there are some print variations to look for. 6 of the 7 set checklists have variations. The variations are either changes in the spelling of the players' names or color changes on the baseball or the bat on the front. None of the checklists carry a premium relative to the others. There are also 4 error cards, but none of them were corrected. Ted Williams has the throwing information on the back incorrect. Mike Kilkenny has a white dot on the card number. Willie McCovey has San Francisco misspelled. And Mike Ryan, a catcher, has a pitching record header on the back of his card. If you're looking to collect a 1970 set, complete sets can run from between $500 and $800 for a lower grade set and $1,000 and up for a mid-grade or higher set. Common cards in the first 5 series can cost between $1 or $2 for EX or near mint examples. Commons in series 6 or 7 can start at $4 or $5 and go up to $15 or $20 for semi-stars or some Yankees or Mets players. The key single cards in the set are the Nolan Ryan, Johnny Bench, Thurman Munson rookie, as well as Clemente, Mays, and Aaron. Like most other vintage Topps sets, the most condition-sensitive feature is the centering of the cards. This is borne out by the pop report from PSA. There are 69 cards in the set for which there are no PSA 10 grades. The NL Home Run Leaders card has 0 10s with over 750 submitted. The hardest card to get in a 10? The Reggie Jackson number 140 has 1 PSA 10 with 2,300 submissions. The Munson rookie has 3 10s with 3,800 submissions. Then we have the 20 All-Star cards. Of the 6,581 examples submitted to PSA, only 15 cards have graded a Gem Mint 10, less than 1/4 of 1%. On the other hand, the Jerry Arrigo card has 16 PSA 10s and 226 submissions, 7% of all submissions for the card. As a whole, 1.4% of the cards submitted to PSA came back a Gem Mint 10. That compares to 1.1% in 1969 and 2.5% in 1972. Let's talk about some auction prices realized for the 1970 Topps cards. The highest price I could find for a single card was $43,000 in 2016 for the only PSA 10 example of the Reggie Jackson card. Within the last 6 months, there were 2 sales of a Willie Mays PSA 10 card. Only 4 exist. That was for $33,000 and $34,000 respectively. The highest price I could find for a complete set was about $9,000 in 2014. In March 2019, a complete set in near mint grade sold for over $5,300. In my own experience, I bought this VG-EX set in an online auction for $500. I then put another $900 into upgrading the cards to EX mint condition. I still have to upgrade the Ryan, which is about $150 more. The 2019 Heritage set does a good job honoring the original 1970 design. Topps has included several chase cards that fit very well with the originals. I have mine displayed right in the 1970 binder. Let's take a look now at all the cards in the set. I hope you've enjoyed this look back at the 1970 Topps baseball card set. If you want to share any of your experiences with the set, I'd welcome that in the comments below, along with any feedback. Thanks for watching, and collect what you love.